Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Peter Barber. I am primarily a professional opera singer, music producer, and bass vocalist, but worth mentioning for what I've heard about this song, I've also produced a lot of electronic music and a lot of dubstep in my life. Actually, here's a quick clip from my last music video. So there's that. That's actually a project I'm most proud of this entire world. I won't go into detail now. Guys, I'm going to be doing a first time reaction and analysis to this video, so I will be pausing to talk about vocal technique, especially as that is where my expertise lies, but also other artistic choices, musical things. Apparently this song is going to blow my mind from everything I've heard, so I'm really looking forward to it. My goal with this channel is to bring as much possible value and appreciation to your listening and musical experience. So if you find that I'm doing that, if you find yourself enjoying this music more, if you find yourself learning things, please do consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. The link is in the description below, as is a link to this original video so you can watch it straight through and come back if you want to learn more. Other than that, please do like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment for the algorithm. Could be as simple as saying, "Hi Peter, what's up? Falling in Reverse rules, watch the world burn." Does not matter, all good for the algorithm. And without further ado, let's dive in and check this out. I'm super excited. My good friend Tommy P, who's another member of the Bass Gang, wanted to watch this with me so that he could see my reaction because he knows how much I love dubstep and heavy, dark themed stuff. So I'm very excited to hear this. Got the headphones on, got my keyboard ready to pick out pitches if I need to. And yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm ready to get hyped here this morning. So let's watch the world burn.
Yeah, I got voices in my head again. Tread carefully, and I don't medicate, it helps me temporarily. I got problems, I got issues, yeah, apparently. Trauma that I'm burying, I think I need some therapy. I battled to...
Okay. Woo, I'm getting chills. Epic. All right, so what's going on here? Okay, so because of my background as a dubstep producer, I think I'll focus evenly on the production side of things, like some of the audio engineering side of things and the vocal things, and I can tell there's gonna be a lot. This might be a long video, so strap in. All right, what's going on here at the beginning? So we have like a reverse gated, not gated, but we have it's like there's an opening, a repeated opening of the sound. It sounds to me like there was an audio file that was put in reverse, where there's a big attack at the start, like maybe even like a normal like hi-hat, like tss, tss. But I think falling in reverse, it's going the opposite direction, and then we have some kind of like mellowed out, synth progression as well. Super light.
Yeah, I got voices in my head again. Tread carefully, and I don't medicate, it helps me temporarily.
So we got a big like kick bass hit happening at the start of every 2 measures. So this is probably like 160 BPM, not quite drum and bass, but definitely faster than dubstep. Tread carefully, and kind of unpitched, rap-like singing. Except that tread carefully, it's also pitched an octave down, so it's this singer, rapper, singing in the normal octave with another octave pitched down. You can tell it's pitched down because of the quality. It's like over darkened. It's like it doesn't account for formants, meaning this is going to get a little complicated, but if you tune something down in an audio program and you don't account for the formants, that means you are the pitch going down also basically for a vocalist makes it as if their pharynx is getting much more spacious. So it goes from like this, and it gets much darker, and I'm doing this intentionally. I'm expanding my pharynx to make the sound darker, not even decreasing the pitch. So that's kind of what happens if you just pitch something down and you don't account for the formants. So if you just pay attention to the quality of that same line that they've created underneath the lead singer, it's clearly pitched down in an artificial kind of way.
Yeah, I got voices in my head again. Tread carefully.
Tread carefully. It's like that. Now his voice is obviously a lot higher than mine, so I can kind of make that freaky sound that you hear below his voice, but it's done artificially in a production situation.
Yeah. I got voices in my head again. Tread carefully, and I don't medicate, it helps me temporarily.
Temporarily.
I got problems, I got issues, yeah, apparently. Trauma that I'm burying, I think I need some therapy. I battled depression, I'm back with a message. I'm asking the question that if you hate me, why you acting obsessive? I'm past the point and no return, fuck being passive aggressive. I'll brandish a weapon, teach all you motherfuckers a lesson. Yeah.
I gotta hold it. So yeah, in terms of vocal production, it's definitely, you know, it's like an intense form of rapping, intense form of speaking. As we get closer to the end of this first verse, it gets much more towards like yelling, which you hear in a lot of dubstep, used usually like vocal samples. Obviously, you hear it in metal, rock, any kind of heavy music. There is a lean towards that kind of yell quality, which really means you're singing up high. Generally, you're singing up high in your chest voice. And when grit comes in, that means the vocal folds stop oscillating normally in their most kind of healthy, natural way, and they start kind of smacking against each other a bit. This creates a turbulence and a grit in the sound where there is noise is introduced instead of just pitch. There becomes noise. That's actually the term for it. We've got like a pretty, as far as dubstep goes, a pretty chill kind of subdued kick snare pattern, but it sounds like something was just about to drop, not like the unofficial dubstep drop, but there was about to be an intense progression in the song where maybe the drums get heavier, but right now we've really just got that big like bass sub kick, and we'll see what happens next.
I'm asking the question that if you hate me, why you acting obsessive? I'm passive.
So there's not even a consistent kick right now.
I'll brandish a weapon, teach all you motherfuckers a lesson. I actually battle my demons and shallows and women, the deep and the creep and the shallows and lost. Gotta admit that I'm living the life that I've always wanted.
Oh my God.
They're licking the jar, they're fixing to rip me apart. I'm swimming with sharks. I'm lifting the bar, I'm lifting the end of the stars.
Okay. This would be a 30-minute video or shorter if I focus just on the voice. I fear how much I'm going to talk about the production, because that is what is most captivating to my ears. And that's not even talking about the music video, which is obviously super cool. So there's a lot of elements that just came in as I predicted a moment ago. So also that is called an uplifter in the EDM world, in case you're interested. Always used before drops. It's like if you take a snare and you go, that doubling of the sound almost, I think it really does, it forces a physiological response in humans and maybe other animals too, to like, it literally revs your system up. So that's why it's used pretty much before every single drop in electronic music, because it forces the audience to get hyped. That's called an uplifter or a riser. So something cool about this drop is that it actually doesn't drop right on the one. When you expect it to drop, there's actually a slight delay. This is a technique used by a lot of dubstep producers, and so you know, it's like people in the crowd and they go, oh, and then nothing happens, and like a beat later something drops and they go, oh my God, because it's not what you expected. That's the technique they're using here. A delayed drop, you could call it. A fake out, you could call it, because it doesn't happen right when you expect it. And then we've got pretty intense rapping, pretty much on triplets. And we have this crazy chorus, like vocal chorus happening in the background in super epic fashion. Plus, yes, we actually get a consistent drum pattern that's much more intense than what's happening in this first verse. There is so much to talk about. Wow. Okay, I hope you guys are enjoying so far. We have a long way to go. I'm going to be exhausted at the end of this. I can tell.
Teach all you motherfuckers a lesson. I actually battle my demons and shallows and women, the deep and the creep and the shallows and lost. Gotta admit that I'm living the life that I've always wanted, but it comes to the cost.
So that's kind of the sub line we have going. That's kind of the drum beat we have going. We have like this intense choir happening in the background with his rapping. That's most of what's happening. Those are like the main elements. There's some other, obviously, sound effects going on. There's amazing sound engineering happening to create this atmosphere that we're hearing. I mean, I will say it now, I'll say it till the day I die. Good dubstep producers are the best producers in the world, in my opinion. The amount of efficiency and planning and tailoring you have to do in a dubstep-like sound environment to not overload the system, to not make things muddy, is absolutely insane. It's something I got okay at when I used to produce all the time, and I'm nowhere near like the level that this kind of producer can do and the really good dubstep producers. I just saw an artist called Barely Alive. I saw Barely Alive live about a week ago. And you know, some of that music, if you go look up Barely Alive's album called Odyssey, the level of cleanliness in the balance of everything is unbelievable. It is so crisp. Everything is like perfectly fit into the mix. And that's how they make sound so loud and clear, is because nothing is fighting with each other. It's an amazing thing. I think dubstep producers do it better than any other kind of producer in the world, because they're trying to create a sound that's really intense and really loud and in your face. And to do that cleanly it takes an absolute mastery of the software, and it takes golden ears to figure out, you know, what frequencies you have to strip out and so on. I could go on and on, but right here we've got a few main elements happening, and I'm going to go on and we'll see what happens next. This is incredible. So a little bit about the vocal technique he's using here. Again, it's that really intense high chest voice, yell-like quality. And at the end of each phrase, he's adding some of that turbulence, almost like growl. There's probably a little bit of involvement with the false vocal folds, which is what you would use in a growl technique. And there's also a little bit of grit, which is turbulence to the primary vocal folds. I can't even, it's too fast, I can't even hear what he's saying, but da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. On those last words, that's when that turbulence and grit and growl is coming into the sound, just for those finishing words. Okay, so yeah, so what they're doing here, which is, this is what can make a song so interesting, is when you have those little breaks. I mean, it's like there's all this stuff happening, and then it cuts out just for a few beats or a bar, just so you hear just the vocals, and then it all comes rushing back in. It just creates a freshness, and it keeps the listener guessing. It's like you don't really know. It's like, okay, we're jamming, and then it stops, and you're like, what happened? And then we're jamming again, and it just creates intrigue and interest, and it keeps you kind of on the edge of your seat because you don't know exactly what's going to happen next. And these producers are doing a really great job of that. This next section. I like that little drum fill. Aside from that, though, as far as the actual beat, this is how you create the change that stays interesting. Is the beat's almost exactly the same throughout. They're literally just cutting it out for a moment at a time. So they're not changing anything else. They're just stopping the background. And they put in that little drum fill, which I like, that little pitched drum fill. But for the most part, the beats, everything's the same. They're just cutting it out for a second. So like, it's a very simple and effective method to keep things interesting.
I got enemies trying to get rid of me. Evil tendencies are fucking with me mentally.
All right, all drums are gone. We're back to exactly what we heard during the intro. That I think reverse
I got people that don't
We don't even have that reverse hi-hat thing. Just that kind of mellowed out synth.
Evil tendencies are fucking with me.
And we have the lead vocalist going, and then we have a constant thing with that pitch down part I was talking about in the beginning.
I got enemies trying to get rid of me.
Cause I got enemies trying to get rid of me. So that's a fake, it's a produced sound bite they're using there. I'm doing it because I have a bass voice and I can make my voice kind of freaky and dark sounding like that. But that's what's happening here. You have normal vocals plus the pitch down vocals at the same time.
I got enemies trying to get rid of me. Evil tendencies are fucking with me mentally. I got people that don't like me in the industry. I can feel your energy. You were not a friend of me. Cause I have been to places that you never wanna go. Yeah, I got dirt on people, but they act like I don't know. Yeah, I can do some damage, but I'll never rock the boat. All it takes is one post. Watch them fall like dominoes. You'll never get rid of me. Too many names.
Oh, they faked me out. Okay. So vocally, which is the main focus here, still no drums, or no consistent drum pattern, no consistent subs or anything like that. This rapper is now adopting much more of that grit and ground sound. There's a lot more turbulence happening at the level of the vocal folds, which is a great way to rev up intensity. Now that we are beyond the first section of this song, I guess I don't really know what the verse chorus structure is, but we are in a new section of the song, and it is a way to increase intensity. There's much more of that, more like not uncontrolled, more of that. I don't know what the right word would be. There's a more intensity to the sound. It sounds like there's less control of the sound, but this singer has it under control. But there's that intensity, the more grit, the more yell. It's like the voice is getting away from him, but clearly a very experienced performer, fully in control, but to the audience sounds a little bit more intense and less in control, which plays into like psychoacoustics and things like that.
I can feel your energy. You were not a friend of me. Cause I have been to places that you never wanna go. Yeah.
Listen, the quality in this rapping is more intense. There's more turbulence. There's more false fold engagement than we've heard in the previous minute of the song.
I got dirt on people, but they act like I don't know. Yeah, I can do some damage, but I'll never rock the boat. All it takes is one post. Watch them fall like dominoes. You'll never get rid of me. Too many enemies ripping my imagery. You know my history. It ain't a mystery. Put every enemy in misery. Somebody send me some positive energy. I'm about to go dark. I'm about to go dizzy. Into the darkness, into infinity. Shut you motherfuckers up. You listening? Stacking everything.
Oh, woo, God. Okay. Pretty much the same beat and background and production as we got in the first rapping section. Still very much rapping in triplets, but this time this rapper did something really cool with the words. It like turned the words into kind of like these intense hits. All on the one. Just point that out. I want to see what he's saying here.
You know my history, it ain't a mystery. Put every enemy out of misery. Somebody send me some positive energy. I'm about to go dark, I'm about to go dizzy. Into the darkness, into infinity. Shut you motherfuckers up. Listening?
So nothing else about the beat is changing. It's just dark energy, da da. On each of those start of each bar, he's rapping, and there's all these other voice, so like a chorus of himself comes in, all like unpitched and yelly and awesome and intense.
Enemies ripping my imagery, you know my history. It ain't a mystery. Put every enemy out of misery. Somebody send me some positive energy. I'm about to go dark, I'm about to go dizzy. Into the darkness, into infinity. Shut you motherfuckers up. Listening? Stacking every little pretty penny that I'm getting, and I'm never giving in to anybody. Always winning, never kidding. When I die, I'm taking everybody with me. You're never gonna get me, cause you never see it simple. Yeah, my motherfucking God, you're a light gone. I'm a time bomb, and if I'm wrong, it's my fault. I'm killing syllables of the letter of Philip. I'm a lyrical, typical super villain. I'm venomous, and I'm never gonna stop until they put me on top of the list. I can't control the monster any longer that's inside. The pain and sorrow left us solo. No tomorrows are to swallow. That is gone.
Okay, that was a super cool section, really demonstrating the rapping chops. So we've gone from triplet. The whole first half of the song basically was and then he goes faster. Same beat, same tempo, but goes from triple to duple. instead of 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. So it's faster. It's in the same beats, but instead of 3 syllables per beat, it's 4. That's what happens in this down section. And I love that it goes in on his mouth and everything else cuts out and it becomes like a much more intimate delivery of the text. Like visually and orally.
Listening? Stacking every little pretty penny that I'm getting, and I'm never giving in to anybody. Always winning, never kidding when I time, taking everybody with me. You're never gonna get me, cause you never see it simple. Yeah, my motherfucking God, you're like gone. I'm a time on, I'm wrong, it's like on. I'm killing syllables of the letter of Philip. I'm a lyrical, typical super villain, I'm venomous, and I'm never gonna stop.
Okay. And then now, I think I know Popular Monster, I think is a song by this group. And I like listening to a lot of metal and hard rock in the gym, like hard alternative rock. And I know Popular Monster often comes up on, which playlist is it? Some like hard rock replay or something. I think Popular Monster is a song by them. And so, this whole bit so far has not been like, it's been all electronic, electronic instruments, probably drum samples for the most part, obviously the synths. But now we're getting back to, I think, what the roots of this band are, which is more like hard rock and actual drums, actual guitars. And we get it, and it's kind of a cool transition into this next section where the first half is like this EDM kind of stuff. But then from what I saw in the next section, it is back to it's kind of like back to the roots, like live band kind of stuff, like live hard rock with drums, live instruments, blah, blah, blah. So this middle part here is kind of a cool transition from one to the other.
Always winning, never kidding when I time, taking everybody with me. You're never gonna get me, cause you never see it simple. Yeah, my motherfucking God, you're like gone. I'm a time on, I'm wrong, it's like on. I'm killing syllables of the letter of Philip. I'm a lyrical, typical super villain, I'm venomous, and I'm never gonna stop until they put me on top of the list. I can't control the monster any longer that's inside. The pain and sorrow left us solo. No tomorrows are to swallow. Death is calling, someone crawling. Tightrope walking, now I'm falling down. Like missiles falling from the sky. Come and save us. Pain and sorrow left us solo. Here today, but gone tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. So this is like much more. This sounds a lot more like Popular Monster, as far as I know. Maybe I've heard other songs by them too, but this is like very much. This is the kind of singing we're used to. So the first part really was rapping, and this is now back to heavy, gritty, very much yell-like quality singing, where there's a lot of turbulence happening to the vocal folds. There's a lot of power and breath behind the sound. And it makes for just a very intense vocal production, which you can learn to do sustainably. I hesitate when talking about this style of singing to say you can do it healthily. It depends on your definition of healthily or safely or whatever, but I say sustainably because it's a technique you can learn how to do over long periods of time. I definitely wouldn't consider it healthy compared to other kinds of singing, but it is something you can do with training sustainably. And clearly this is what you have to master as a singer in this kind of group, especially when you think about performing this way on tour where you're doing it live every night. You have to be able to do it sustainably or your voice can't hold up. And that's that. Other than that, heavy, super fast drums, or we got double kick drums happening, and now we're getting out of my expertise into live band stuff. I just don't know as much about it as I know about music production and obviously vocal technique. So not as much as I can say about this kind of atmosphere of sound with the live band qualities, but super awesome. Love the music. So we do. I mean, it's cool though. I mean, there's a crazy range in kind of genre and style and delivery to what we get throughout the song. And this section was another kind of like down section where you have these drums going, you have these guitars doing a dual guitar solo in the background, and then the lead vocalist's method of delivery is much different. It's much more spoken-like. It's still intense. It's like quiet and intense, but it's lower in his voice. It's more spoken-like. It's not this fast rapping, and it's not the singing we've heard. So it's like a new, more speech-like delivery of the text during this quasi-down section.
Drives this flesh and bone through blood-red skies. The death-defying, hypnotizing. One day you're gonna figure out that everything they taught you was a lie. Watch the world burn.
And now we've gone into like heavy metal screamo almost. I mean, not, because for screamo I think like everything is generally screamed, that vocal technique. But tons of turbulence to the vocal folds now. Now there's a way to do this in the studio. What's interesting about this kind of singing is it's not nearly as loud as it is intense. Because to get that kind of sound, there's actually a lot of air coming through. And if there's a ton of air coming through the sound, it's objectively not as loud because the vocal folds aren't being as efficient with the air. Super efficient vocal folds is how you create a very loud, powerful sound. It's what opera singers, we try to get throughout our entire range, is super strong vocal fold closure, because it adds a ton of high harmonics to the sound. It's the only way we compete against an orchestra with no microphones. Opera singers don't use microphones when singing in opera houses. So if you hear a sound like that, it's kind of like that with a little more actual grit to the sound. I'm just like whispering loudly, but it's not as loud as if you heard it in person without a microphone, you'd be surprised at how not loud it is. As opposed to the singing this person was doing right before, that is loud. Like what you heard during this section as it became like a hard rock song, that singing's loud because there's much less air coming through. There is turbulence to the vocal folds, but there's much less air. This screamy type stuff is actually, there's a lot more air coming through, which makes the sound much less loud by like a decibel volume. But it makes, in a production setting when it's all balanced, or doing it into a microphone that can be boosted, it makes for a really intense sound because it sounds like the person's just screaming their head off. It's not actually what's happening though.
Hypnotizing. One day you're gonna figure out that
This is
everything
just
they
sick.
taught you was a lie. Watch the world burn.
Just proper heavy drums and guitar. Like that's a good example. That's not actually that loud in person, but it's perfect in this setting. Wow. That just ends as the world is actually burning from his eyeballs. Okay, so just like bar none, and I didn't comment on it much because I'm focusing on other elements. One of the sickest music videos I think I've ever seen, and I love dark shit. Absolutely love it. Love every bit of it. Everything that's happening in this video, I'm here for it. Awesome, like just artistically very powerful stuff. Yes, this will be going quickly on my gym playlist, that's for sure. I think if there's anything else I want to point out musically, I mean we've got the whole gambit of like really heavy metal instrumentation now, like really heavy drums, really heavy guitar. We've got all the distortion happening in the voice, right? We've still got the epic choir happening, almost like you hear this kind of choir sounds in like movie soundtracks. Epic, like super epic, powerful choir music. That's pretty much it though. I mean, it's like really heavy drums, really heavy guitars, really heavy vocals, and then this epic choir background. Those are for sure the main 4 elements happening in this climax. And that's just it. It's over. Whew, wow. Well, Tommy, thank you for the suggestion. This was absolutely insane. I love seeing. I mean, there's been a lot of collaborations between metal groups and dubstep producers because the energy is very similar. Someone like Kill the Noise has used metal groups before. Artists like Excision have used metal groups before. Snails has used metal groups before. There's a lot of really amazing collaborations between dubstep artists and metal artists, and I highly recommend checking it out. It's very similar to this. It's like because there are even covers done of metal songs by dubstep artists where they just recreate the metal sounds in an audio engineering way, and vice versa, where there's metal covers of dubstep music, because it really does translate well and you can really blend the two. And here we didn't get so much a blend, but we got one and the other. Like the first half of the song is like the EDM side, and then the second half of the song is the metal side, with that really interesting section in the middle where it was the super fast rapping with not much else happening in the background. So you kind of got to see them back to back. And if you're interested in seeing them kind of put together, go check out some of those other artists I just mentioned. And I think you'll really enjoy it. If you like this, you will like that. And if you like this, you will love dubstep. And if you like dubstep, you probably like heavy metal. I've been going to a lot of dubstep shows lately because there's this venue in Philadelphia that has a lot of like free, you can go see artists for free, like really great dubstep artists for free. I'm also going to be going to Lost Lands Music Festival in September. That's Excision's big music festival. It's just like probably the biggest dubstep music festival in the world. Very excited about that. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you didn't learn anything about either the vocals or the audio engineering side, then let's collaborate. Let's start doing videos together, because that would be amazing. Like a fellow weirdo out there that knows a lot about singing and a lot about electronic music. If you did learn something, if I added value to your experience, please do consider adding some value to my life by joining my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, it's the best possible way to support me as a creator, artist, performer, educator, all that good stuff. No question, best way to support me. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, leave a comment for the algorithm. And this was really fun. Guys, if you want to see me do more analysis on videos like this, please just say the word. Just say the word, and I am there, okay? So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.